Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 52 of our BU 365-day challenge to do one thing every day that improves us. Today we're going to let the feelings roll. And this reminds me of the Cars song, Let the Good Times Roll. It's playing in my head as I'm thinking about this topic. So I'm going to share with you 3 steps, but I'm actually going to tie that into our 4-step SOAP framework in how do we deal with and let all of our emotions roll through us. We want to make sure that we're feeling all of our emotions and not trying to stifle or shove down any, because those that we stuff down will come up eventually. And sometimes the more we stuff down a negative emotion or something we don't want to feel, the stronger the reaction will be when we actually let ourselves experience it. So I've learned over decades of trying to stuff down things that it's easier to let the emotions run their course, run through us, and follow the SOAP framework to deal with them. Or there's a 3-step process that I've learned along the way too, but it basically is the SOAP framework. Basically, we want to deal with all of our emotions. So how do we deal with them in a way that's good and best for us and doesn't cause us irreparable damage or harm? Number one, we need to identify what the emotion is. We get an inkling, a feeling, something triggers something in us. We feel something and we want to notice what it is. We want to first observe and notice it. That kind of is in alignment with our S, right? The story that we're telling ourselves. What's going on that got our attention in the first place, and what are we letting it mean to us? Because we always experience something and then we make up a story that fits it based on our past experience and decide what it means. Well, then we have to think about, what do we want? What story do we want to have about this emotion? If I feel sad or angry or upset about something, or left out, for example, do I want to feel really upset about that and build it up in my mind and think of all the times in my past when I felt sad or angry or left out or neglected? Probably not. But what do I want to feel? I want to feel loved and accepted for who I am most of the time. And then we want to say, okay, the next step is, once we identify, we want to notice in our body, how do different emotions impact us? How do we feel? If I'm angry or upset, sometimes I'll feel hot or warm, or I'll feel a negative niggling or a feeling in the pit of my stomach. I'll feel tightness in the back of my neck or my shoulders. It's different for each and every one of us, but we start to identify where in our body do we feel different emotions and feelings. Then we want to think about, well, do I need to react to this or not? What are my options? What are the possibilities? Of course, one option is always to do nothing. One is to stuff it down and just ignore it and keep moving with our life. Another is to let it roll through us, let the emotions roll through us, because the faster we let them roll through us, the faster we deal with them and let them dissipate and not affect us personally anymore. It's kind of like the weather. Things are always rolling in and out of our life. Some we have control of, some we don't. We do have control of how we respond and react to all of the emotions and all the feelings that we feel. We don't always feel like we have control, but if we take responsibility and realize that we have control, it gives us so much more power than thinking that we're just at the whim of the weather or the whim of our emotions and our feelings, because we're not. We can always choose how we want to respond, even if it doesn't always feel like it. And sometimes we react first, and then we have to backtrack and say, oh, that was not my best, most glorious reaction to this particular situation. So then we want to think about, what are the different options? What are the different possibilities of how I could react? That's our O in the SOAP framework. And then we want to, in the A, analyze and decide what action we're actually going to take. We want to have a way to say, okay, what is the best action I can take right now? Because we always have to deal with the repercussions and the reactions and the results of our actions, our behaviors. So if we're going to be responsible for it, we might want to have a little control over the actions that we actually choose to take. And then finally, we want to check in with the P, the progress. Are we moving toward what we want from where we are, or are we not? Now, this can all happen actually instantaneously on a subconscious level. That's why we practice the SOAP framework over and over and over again. It's how we get anything that we want. And normally, if we're feeling a positive a positive emotion or feeling, we want to feel more of that. We want to continue to add that in our life. If we're feeling a negative one, we usually want to just let that roll through us, run its course. And a lot of the time, a negative emotion, we aren't going to take any action that impacts other people. We're only going to take actions that impact us. So we might move our physical body, one of the fastest ways to dissipate a negative emotion or negative energy is to actually go for a walk, exercise, let the sun shine on your face, take some deep breaths, change your breathing, change your physiology, change the look on your face. If you're feeling sad and mopey and down and depressed, put a smile on your face. And it doesn't take but a few seconds to help that smile actually physically make changes in our bodies. So you could do something physically. If you need to, you can look for somebody to talk it out with. Seek somebody, a supportive person that you can talk it out with. I like to use my imaginary friend. We talked about that before. I think we've talked about the imaginary friend exercise. If not, we'll get to it during the challenge. But I like to talk to an imaginary person, so I don't always have to, involve someone else in my personal drama. Because you know what? Everybody's got their own personal drama. They're busy, and I want to save my interaction, my physical support from other people for when it's the big things that I need support with, not everyday things that just come up all the time for all of us, right? And then finally, sometimes we need to seek out that other level of help and support. Maybe we need some help from a professional in different areas and aspects of our life, not just, we think when we need support and help that it's mental health and mental support and help, but not always. Sometimes we need help in all the different areas and aspects of our life. Sometimes we need a financial advisor for financial support and health. Sometimes we need a spiritual advisor for spiritual support and health. Sometimes we need a doctor or a physical therapist or a nutritionist or something like that for our physical well-being. And for our emotional well-being and mental well-being, sometimes it's a psychiatrist or a psychologist or just a trusted friend and advisor that we can go to for help and advice and find out how they deal with a certain emotion or situation. So our action item today is just to notice throughout the day an emotion, and then instead of trying to stuff it down and not respond to it, let it roll through you and see how you respond and react to it, and then see how does that make you feel. Does that make you feel differently to let it roll through you and just let it experience it than to try to pack it away, put it away, shove it away, stuff it away, not feel it, not experience it? What's the difference for you? And all you need to do is share the emotion that you did this to today. Again, I do this automatically now with the SOAP framework. It's installed in my subconscious, and it's just a natural way of, anytime there's a change or a challenge or a problem, I automatically go through this in my subconscious. And then if it's something bigger that I need to actually pay attention to and be aware of, then it'll move up into my conscious. And guess what? I do this SOAP framework then on a conscious level and say, okay, well, what's the situation? What do I want it to be? What are my options? And sometimes my options are, you need to go find an expert that can help you with this. And so instead of trying a whole bunch of things on my own, I will just go find an expert right away and deal with it that way. So do what works for you. That's always the right answer, right? We always have to do what works for you. You have to always do what works for you. I have to always do what works for me. Any questions on this? Hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Have an absolutely fabulous day and play with this today and see how it makes you feel.